I need a mother for my son, and you need home, a millionaire declared a poor cafe waitress. The winter wind howled outside the small cafe windows as Leah wiped down the last table of her double shift. Her fingers were cracked from harsh, cleaning chemicals. Her lower back ached, and the hole in her sneaker had let slush seep in hours ago. One more hour, and she could go back to her rented room, eat whatever was cheapest at the corner store, and collapse until tomorrow's 5 a.m. alarm. Have you ever been offered something that seemed too good to be true? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. She counted quarters for dinner that night, while he counted properties along Lake Michigan, until he walked in her cafe with an offer that would change both their lives. I need a mother for my son, and you need a home. The winter wind howled outside the small cafe windows as Leah wiped down the last table of her double shift. Her fingers were cracked from harsh cleaning chemicals. Her lower back ached, and the hole in her sneaker had let slush seep in hours ago. One more hour, and she could go back to her rented room, eat whatever was cheapest at the corner store, and collapse until tomorrow's 5 a.m. alarm. When the door swung open, bringing in a blast of January air, she didn't look up immediately. Sorry, we're closing in 10 minutes. I'm not here for coffee. The voice made her pause, deep, confident, the kind that expected to be heard. When she turned, the man standing by the door didn't belong in this neighborhood. His charcoal overcoat probably cost 6 months of her rent. His shoes gleamed despite the slush outside. His face was all sharp angles, with eyes that assessed everything like he was calculating value. Cole Harrison, he said, not extending his hand. You're Leah Davis. Her heart skipped. Not a question, a statement. How do you know my name? I make it my business to know things. He glanced around the empty cafe, then back at her. You've worked doubles for 3 weeks straight. You sleep in a room above the laundromat on Damon. You send money to St. Louis twice a month. Leah's fingers tightened around the rack. Exit behind her, 3 steps to the kitchen knife block. What do you want? To make you an offer. He moved closer, his cologne expensive but subtle. I need a mother for my son, and you need a home. She almost laughed. Excuse me, I've been watching you. With customers. With children. Earlier today, when that little boy was crying, you calmed him down in seconds. His eyes never left hers. My son hasn't spoken in 2 years, since his mother disappeared. Child services is breathing down my neck. I need to show them a stable home environment. Understanding dawned. You want to hire me to pretend to be your wife? I want to hire you to care for my son and, yes, present as my wife during necessary social interactions. Leah's mind raced. This had to be a joke. Or worse. Why me? Why not hire a professional nanny? A nanny doesn't solve my problem. I need someone who appears to be family. Someone who needs this arrangement as much as I do. His gaze flicked to her worn clothes. Someone with no attachments who can move in immediately. The calculation in his voice made her skin crawl. And yet, what exactly would this involve? Something flickered in his eyes. Relief? 1 year. You live in my home, help with Alex, attend necessary functions as my wife. In private, separate rooms, separate lives. When the year ends, you leave with enough money to start fresh anywhere you want. And if I say no, then I find someone else, and you keep counting quarters. The words stung because they were true. Last week, she'd eaten nothing but crackers for 2 days straight. How much? The question felt dirty on her tongue. He named a figure that made her breath catch. Why would you pay that much for a fake wife? Because my son is worth it. For the first time, emotion cracked through his voice. Because I can't lose him. When he slid the contract across the table. $1 million for 1 year of pretending to be his wife. Her fingers trembled not from the cold, but from realizing how desperately she wanted to say yes, and how dangerous that feeling was. Have you ever been offered something that seemed too good to be true? Would you sacrifice your freedom for financial security? Comment below what choice you would make if you were in Leah's shoes. The gates to his lakefront estate closed behind her with an ominous click, trapping her in a world of luxury that felt more like a beautiful prison than the escape she'd hoped for. 3 days after meeting Cole Harrison, Leah watched Chicago's landscape transform through the tinted windows of his Range Rover. Cramped apartments gave way to spacious homes, which surrendered to sprawling estates as they entered Lake Forest. Her entire life fit into one duffel bag beside her, while his world expanded with every mile north. "The staff knows our arrangement," Cole said, breaking 20 minutes of silence. "To them, we met 6 months ago, married quickly, and you're now moving in. Only my head of security knows the truth." "What about your son?" His knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "Alex is 5. He's been through enough without understanding this complexity. So, I just pretend to be his mother? Just like that. You care for him. The rest will develop naturally." Nothing about this felt natural. Not the prenuptial agreement she'd signed yesterday. Not the wedding ring now heavy on her finger. Not the way her heart raced as wrought iron gates swung open, revealing a mansion that belonged in a movie. The driveway curved past manicured gardens, now sleeping under snow. The house itself rose 3 stories, stone and glass, overlooking Lake Michigan. When the car stopped, a man in a black suit appeared immediately to open her door. "Welcome home, Mrs. Harrison." The title sent a chill down her spine. Inside was worse. Marble floors stretched beneath a crystal chandelier. Artwork that belonged to museums hung on walls. A grand staircase curved upward like something from a fairy tale. One of the dark ones where the heroine makes deals she comes to regret. "Where's Alex?" she asked, her voice echoing. "With Mrs. Winters, his nanny. She'll continue handling his education and basic needs." Cole checked his watch. "You'll meet him at dinner. I have calls to make." Just like that, he disappeared down a hallway, leaving her with a woman who introduced herself as the housekeeper. Her bedroom, not their bedroom, she noted with relief, was bigger than her entire apartment back in St. Louis. The walk-in closet already contained women's clothing in her size. Designer labels. Shoes she'd be afraid to scuff. "Mr. Harrison had these delivered yesterday," the housekeeper explained. "If anything doesn't fit, we'll have it altered." When finally alone, Leah sat on the bed edge, running her hand over sheets that probably cost more than a month's salary at the cafe. The windows offered a view of endless lake water, gray waves merging with winter sky. Beautiful, isolated, inescapable. What had she done? Dinner came at precisely 7 o'clock in a dining room that could seat 20. Just 3 places were set, Cole at the head of the table, Leah to his right, and a small boy being led in by an older woman. Alex Harrison had his father's dark hair and jawline, but his eyes were different. Wide, observant, wary. Where Cole's gaze calculated, Alex's searched. "Alex," Cole said formally, "this is Leah. She's going to be living with us now. As my wife." "You're..." He faltered. Leah slid from her chair and knelt at eye level with the boy. "Alex, I'm really happy to meet you." His eyes studied her face with an intensity no 5-year-old should possess. He didn't speak. She'd been warned he wouldn't, but his small hand reached out, one finger touching the back of hers, as if checking if she was real. That night, as moonlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, turning the marble floors into silver pathways, Leah lay awake in her new bedroom. Everything gleamed with wealth, but felt hollow, devoid of laughter or comfort. As she unpacked her meager belongings, the bedroom door creaked open, a small shadow slipping inside. Alex stood clutching a worn teddy bear, his eyes wide with silent questions. The first test of their arrangement had arrived far sooner than she expected. Have you ever felt completely out of place somewhere? Like you were an imposter about to be discovered? Share in the comments if you've ever stepped into a world that wasn't yours. The boy hadn't spoken in 2 years. But when she sat beside his bed that night, his small fingers traced 3 words on her palm. "Are you real?" "Can't sleep," Leah whispered. Alex shook his head, clutching his teddy bear tighter. In the dim glow of the nightlight, his face looked even younger than 5, vulnerable in ways that made her chest ache. "Me neither," she admitted. "New places are hard to sleep in." His room was a child's dream, toy-filled shelves, a reading nook with cushions, a ceiling painted with stars that actually glowed. But something fell off, Despite the toys, everything was meticulously arranged. Nothing looked played with. "Want me to read you a story?" she asked. He nodded, pointing to a bookshelf. When she stood to select one, she noticed photographs on the dresser. Alex as a baby with Cole and a beautiful woman with copper hair. His mother, Shirley, Alexandra Harrison, according to the file Cole had given her. Missing for 2 years. No body found. Case still open. Leah chose Where the Wild Things Are and settled beside Alex on his bed. He curled against her side as she read, his small body gradually relaxing. When she finished, she expected him to fall asleep, but instead, he took her hand. His finger traced her palm slowly. Letters. Words. The question froze her. How did you answer that? She wasn't really his mother, wasn't really Cole's wife, but the warmth of his small hand in hers, that was real. "I'm really here," she whispered, "and I'm not going anywhere." He fell asleep holding her hand. She didn't realize Cole was watching from the doorway until she tried to leave. He stood silent, face unreadable in the hallway shadows. He never lets anyone new near him, Cole said as they walked away from Alex's room. The last nanny quit because he screamed whenever she approached. Children sense things. Authenticity, fear, and what does he sense in you? The question felt like a trap. Maybe that I'm not trying to replace anyone. Something flashed across Cole's face. Pain quickly masked. The social worker visits next week. We should prepare. I know how to take care of child, but you don't know how to be my wife. Heat crept up her neck. I didn't realize that was part of the job description. It's an act, Leah. Nothing more. His voice stayed cold, controlled, but it needs to be convincing. Tomorrow we'll review our history. How we met, when we married, details they might ask. Fine, but I have a condition. She straightened her spine. I want time with Alex. Real time, not just for show. Why? Because he deserves better than to be a prop in whatever game we're playing. Cole studied her face, searching for something she couldn't name. 7 tomorrow morning in my study. Don't be late. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the playroom windows, casting rainbow prisms from crystal ornaments onto Alex's face. The first time she'd seen him smile since arriving 3 days ago. He was showing her his collection of toy cars, carefully lining them up by color. When she added one to his arrangement, he didn't protest like Cole warned he might. Instead, he leaned against her arm, pointing to each car, his silent communication becoming clearer to her by the hour. She didn't notice Cole watching until Alex did, his little body tensing slightly. Don't stop on my account, Cole said, his voice softer than she'd heard before. When he stepped closer, his hand brushed hers as they both reached to fix a car Alex had knocked over. The brief contact shouldn't have sent electricity up her arm, shouldn't have made her pulse jump. This was business, a contract, nothing more. When Cole found them asleep together in the window seat later that day, Alex's head on her lap, something cracked in his chest. He reached to wake her, but froze when she murmured in her sleep, "Don't worry, I won't let them take him." The question that kept him awake all night wasn't about her motives. It was about why her promise made him feel things he'd sworn never to feel again. What breaks your heart more? A child who can't speak or an adult who won't? Have you ever connected with someone without words? Tell me below. The day before the social worker arrived, he pulled her into his study and said words that made her pulse race. "If we're going to convince them we're in love, you need to know how to touch me without flinching." Cole's study matched the man. Dark wood, leather-bound books, everything in perfect order. The large desk between them felt like a barrier, which was precisely why Leah stayed on her side of it. "I've studied the file you gave me," she said. "We met at a charity gala last summer. Married in October. Quick romance. Facts won't convince them," Cole replied, coming around the desk. "Body language will. Right now, you tense whenever I'm within 3 feet of you." Because he was right, Leah forced herself not to step back as he approached. "A real couple develops unconscious patterns," he continued. "They move in sync, touch casually, share space." His voice remained clinical, as if discussing a business strategy. "We need to practice. Practice touching, among other things." Was that amusement in his eyes? "Unless you'd prefer child services questioning why my supposed wife recoils when I approach. He had a point. For Alex's sake, they needed to be convincing. Fine, what do we do? Stand up. They practiced in the grand salon, surrounded by antiques worth more than her entire life, learning to move together like dancers performing steps that shouldn't feel as natural as they did. How to sit beside each other on the sofa, his arm around her shoulders. How to accept his hand at the small of her back. How to lean into his space while speaking. Your hands are still stiff, he noted after an hour. Like you're touching something unpleasant. I'm trying. Don't try. React. Without warning, he took her hand, threading his fingers through hers. What would you do if you actually wanted to touch me? The question hung between them, loaded with implications neither acknowledged. Igasi. She adjusted her grip, softening her fingers against his. Like this. His eyes darkened slightly. Better. By afternoon, they graduated to more intimate gestures. His hand brushing hair from her face, her fingers straightening his collar, each touch becoming less mechanical, more fluid. There's one more thing, he said as evening approached. The most obvious tell. What's that? We've never kissed. Her stomach dropped. Is that necessary? If we've been married for months? Yes. His expression remained impassive. A social worker will notice if we never show that level of affection. Logic. Everything with him was logical. So why did her heart race when he stepped closer? Just to be clear, she said, this is rehearsal. Nothing more. Strictly business, he agreed. The first attempt was awkward, a mechanical press of lips, both holding back. He pulled away, frowning. That looked forced. It was forced. Try again. Relax this time. The second kiss started like the first, but then his hand came up to cup her cheek, tilting her face slightly. The gentle adjustment changed everything. His lips softened against hers, and instinctively, she leaned into him. What began as practice shifted into something neither expected. Her hands found his shoulders. His arms circled her waist, drawing her closer. The kiss deepened, warming from clinical demonstration to genuine heat. When they broke apart, both were breathing faster. For once, Cole looked as rattled as she felt. That was... He started. Convincing, she supplied quickly. Yes. He stepped back, creating distance. That should suffice. The next morning, Leah helped Alex choose clothes for the social worker's visit. As she buttoned his shirt, he touched her cheek, the same spot Cole's hand had rested during their kiss. What is it, buddy? She asked. He pointed to her, then to himself, then down the hall toward Cole's office. Are we a family? She guessed. For today, yes. We're playing pretend for the nice lady who's visiting. Alex shook his head, frustrated by her misunderstanding. Before she could ask again, the doorbell rang precisely at 10. But it wasn't the social worker standing on the doorstep. It was a detective from St. Louis holding a photograph of a man Leah had spent the last year trying to forget. How much of yourself would you sacrifice to protect someone vulnerable? At what point does pretending become real? Share your thoughts below. Cole had background checked everything about her except the one thing that mattered. The reason she jumped when doors slammed and why she always slept with one eye open. Ms. Davis. The detective's badge glinted in the morning light. Detective Reeves, St. Louis PD. Mind if I ask you a few questions? Cole appeared behind her, hand settling possessively at her waist. My wife and I were expecting someone else this morning. What's this about? Wife. The word rolled off his tongue so easily now. Just following up on an ongoing investigation. The detective's eyes never left Leah's face. Regarding Marcus Blackwell, ice flooded her veins. That name. The reason she fled St. Louis with nothing but a duffel bag. The reason she still checked over her shoulder walking down streets. Perhaps we should continue this conversation inside, Cole suggested, his tone making it clear it wasn't really a suggestion. The detective followed them to Cole's study. When the door closed, Cole's mask of polite interest vanished. Explain why you're questioning my wife about a man she's never mentioned. The detective placed a photograph on the desk. Marcus Blackwell, handsome in that dangerous way that had once fooled Leah. Dark eyes, sharp smile, expensive watch. Ms. Davis worked at Mr. Blackwell's restaurant in St. Louis until approximately 13 months ago, when she disappeared without notice. The same night his office was broken into and certain files went missing. Cole's eyes cut to Leah, questioning without words. "I didn't take anything," she said, hating how her voice shook. "I left because Blackwell threatened you," the detective finished. "That's what your former co-worker claimed. Said he had a temper, especially with you." Cole's entire body tensed. "Are you accusing my wife of something, detective?" "Just gathering information. Blackwell's operation extends beyond restaurants. We believe he's connected to drug trafficking, money laundering. If Ms. Davis, excuse me, Mrs. Harrison, knows anything that could help our case." "I don't," Leah interrupted. "I was a hostess. That's all." It wasn't all, but she couldn't tell this stranger how Marcus had gradually isolated her, how his jealousy turned to control, then control to violence, how she discovered his business meetings involved packages changing hands in the restaurant's back office. "Funny coincidence," the detective continued, ending up married to one of Chicago's wealthiest men just months after running for Blackwell. Cole's study door burst open before he could respond. Alex stood there, wide-eyed, clearly having listened. Behind him, an elegant woman in a pencil skirt looked mortified. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Harrison." He slipped away while I was speaking with a social worker at the door. The social worker. Leah had completely forgotten. "It's fine, Mrs. Winters," Cole said smoothly. "Detective, I believe we're done here. My family has another appointment." "Of course." The detective handed Cole his card. "If your wife remembers anything helpful, have her call me." When he was gone, Cole didn't move immediately. His eyes stayed on Leah, reassessing everything he thought he knew. "The social worker," she began, "can wait 5 minutes. Alex, go with Mrs. Winters, please." Once alone, the study doors shut with a heavy thud, sealing them inside with truths neither was prepared to face, his demand for answers hanging in the air between them like smoke. "You ran a background check," she said defensively. "You knew I came from St. Louis. I knew you had no criminal record, no family seeking you, nothing that would complicate our arrangement." His voice remained controlled, but his eyes blazed. "I didn't know you were running from someone dangerous." He moved closer, backing her against the bookshelf in frustration. "Did you think this wouldn't follow you? That it wouldn't affect Alex?" "Affect me?" Their faces were inches apart. She could feel his breath, see the muscle working in his jaw. Her voice broke as she finally admitted the truth. "He'll kill me if he finds me." Cole's response changed everything between them. "Then he'll have to get through me first." The look in his eyes wasn't just about their arrangement anymore. It was about something neither had planned for. We all have secrets we keep to protect ourselves. But at what point does hiding your past endanger your future? What would you have done in Leah's position? They'd practiced every detail of their fake marriage, except how to explain why a 5-year-old who hadn't spoken in years suddenly whispered "Mama" when Leah entered the room. Mrs. Peterson from Child Protective Services had the sharp eyes of someone who'd seen every type of family dysfunction. She'd arrived minutes after the detective left, catching them off balance, which was probably her strategy. "Sorry for the delay," Cole said, leading her to the sitting room where tea waited. "An unexpected visitor." "No problem at all," Mrs. Peterson replied, notebook already open. "Gives me a chance to see how your household handles disruptions." Leah recognized the trap. Everything was a test. "Alex, why don't you show Mrs. Peterson your drawings?" Leah suggested, grateful when the boy retrieved his sketchbook. For 30 minutes, they answered questions about their relationship, their daily routines with Alex, their plans for his education. Cole played the devoted husband perfectly, his hand finding Leah's at all the right moments, his eyes softening when he looked at her. "And the sleeping arrangement?" Mrs. Peterson asked casually, though her pen hovered expectantly. "We have a master suite," Cole answered smoothly. "Alex is across the hall." Leah fought a blush. They prepared for this question. The master bedroom had been staged that morning, her robe hanging in the bathroom, her books on the nightstand. But she hadn't actually slept there. "Alex seems comfortable with you, Leah," Mrs. Peterson noted, "especially for a child with his history." How long have you been in his life? Before Leah could recite their rehearsed timeline, Alex climbed onto the sofa beside her, leaning against her arm while showing his drawing. About 6 months, Cole interjected. They connected immediately. The social worker's eyes narrowed slightly. His previous assessments indicated extreme anxiety around new people, selective mutism following the trauma of his mother's disappearance. Children are resilient, Leah said, wrapping an arm around Alex's shoulders. Sometimes they just need, Mama, look. The whisper was so soft, she almost missed it. Alex pointed to his drawing, a house, 3 stick figures holding hands. The room froze. Cole's teacup halted halfway to his lips. Mrs. Peterson's pen stopped mid-sentence. Mama, a word Alex hadn't spoken to anyone in 2 years. Leah recovered first, heart pounding. That's beautiful, Alex. Is that us? He nodded, pressing closer to her side. Mrs. Peterson studied them with new interest. This is remarkable progress. Has he spoken before this? Not words, Cole said, his voice thick with genuine emotion. Not since Alexandra disappeared. What changed? The question hung heavy between them. Cole reached across the sofa, taking Leah's free hand in his. The gesture wasn't for show this time. Leah did. The dining room gleamed with crystal and silver for lunch, a perfect tableau of family harmony, beneath which currents of tension and unspoken truths swirled like undertow. Mrs. Peterson watched their every interaction, making notes Leah couldn't see. When the inspection moved to Alex's room and play areas, Cole's hand stayed at the small of Leah's back, his touch no longer the rehearsed gesture they practiced, but something more anchoring. Each time Mrs. Peterson looked away, his eyes found Leah's, communicating silent questions neither could answer. How had Alex known to call her Mama at the perfect moment? Why did it feel less like a performance and more like a prophecy? Well, Mrs. Peterson said as the visit concluded, I'm pleased with what I've seen today. Alex appears well-adjusted and bonded to both of you. That said, her smile thinned. We'll be conducting follow-up visits. Unannounced ones. We understand, Cole replied, walking her to the door. Mrs. Mrs. Peterson turned to Leah. A word of advice. Whatever brought you into this family, her eyes flickered to the ring on Leah's finger. Embrace it. That boy needs stability. Commitment. The warning beneath her words was clear. Don't disappear on him. After the social worker left, satisfied but promising return visits, Alex tugged Leah's hand and spoke his second word of the day. Stay. Cole's eyes met hers over their son's head. Not their legal son, not her actual child, but somehow, impossibly theirs. And in that moment, the arrangement shifted into something neither had anticipated. Have you ever had to put on a performance for others? How did it feel when the lines between acting and reality started to blur? Comment below with your experience. She woke to screams echoing down the hallway. Not Alex's as she feared, but Cole's, battling demons that haunted him long before she arrived. The clock read 2:17 a.m. when Leah bolted upright. For a disorienting moment, she forgot where she was, the silk sheets and plush mattress so different from her lifetime of threadbare blankets. Then another shout broke the night's stillness. Cole's voice, raw with terror. She hesitated only briefly before rushing across the hallway to check on Alex. He was awake, clutching his teddy bear, eyes wide with fear. It's okay, she whispered, kneeling beside his bed. Your dad's having a bad dream. I'll help him. Alex nodded, his small hand clutching hers. After promising to return, she followed the sounds to Cole's bedroom at the end of the hall. She'd never been inside before. Their arrangement gave each other privacy, separate spaces, but the anguish in his voice pushed boundaries aside. Cole, she knocked softly, then turned the handle when only ragged breathing answered. Moonlight cut across his bedroom like a silver blade, illuminating the sweat on his brow and the ghosts in his eyes as she perched uncertainly at his bedside. He was tangled in sheets, chest heaving, eyes open but seeing something, someone who wasn't there. Alexandra, he moaned, the name like a prayer and a curse combined. His missing wife. the woman whose shoes Leah was pretending to fill. "Cole, wake up." She touched his shoulder gently. "It's just a dream." He grabbed her wrist, eyes wild until recognition slowly dawned. "Leah, you were having a nightmare." Awareness returned gradually. He released her, pushing himself upright against the headboard. "Did I wake Alex?" "He's okay. Worried about you." Cole ran a hand over his face, composure returning in layers. "I am sorry. Don't be." She handed him a glass of water from his nightstand. "Do you want to talk about it?" "No." But after a long silence, words spilled out anyway. "It's always the same dream. Alexandra calling for help. Me searching, but never finding her." His voice roughened. 2 years of nightmares. 2 years of Alex waiting for his mother to come home. The raw pain in his voice stripped away the businessman, leaving just a man, broken in places she hadn't seen before. Without thinking, she reached for his hand. "I can't imagine how hard that's been." Something in her touch broke his remaining defenses. His fingers tightened around hers as words poured out. How police suspected Alexandra had simply abandoned them. How he couldn't accept that explanation. How Alex stopped speaking the day they told him Mommy wasn't coming home. Leah listened, her thumb tracing circles on his palm. When he finally fell silent, they sat together in the darkness, connected by shared pain. Hers from Marcus, his from Alexandra. Both understanding what it meant to be haunted. A small sound at the doorway made them both turn. Alex stood there, teddy bear dragging on the floor. "Hey, buddy," Cole said softly. "Did the noise scare you?" Alex nodded, climbing onto the bed between them without invitation. To Leah's surprise, Cole lifted the covers, making space for his son. After a heartbeat's hesitation, he held the blanket open on the other side too, his eyes asking a question. Leah should have said no, should have maintained boundaries. Instead, she slid under the covers, keeping Alex between them like a buffer. The boy curled against her immediately, one hand reaching back to hold his father's. A bridge connecting them. In minutes, he was asleep. "You should go back to your room," Cole whispered, but his eyes said something different. "In a minute," she promised. With Alex asleep between them and dawn breaking over the lake, Cole whispered the truth he'd never told anyone. "I think I know what happened to my wife." The weight of his words settled over them like a shroud. Because if he was right, both of their pasts were about to collide in ways neither could survive. What's more intimate, sharing your body or sharing your fears? Have you ever comforted someone and found yourself crossing emotional lines you never expected to cross? The photograph in Cole's safe changed everything. His missing wife standing beside the very man Leah had been running from for over a year. "I need to show you something," Cole said the next morning. Alex had finally been coaxed back to his own room at dawn, leaving them alone with questions neither had been ready to ask in the darkness. He led her to his office, closing the door with a decisive click. The massive painting behind his desk, a stormy seascape, swung forward on hidden hinges, revealing a wall safe. "What I'm about to show you doesn't leave this room," he said, fingers working the combination. "Not even the police know everything I've gathered." Leah's pulse quickened. Whatever came next would change things. She could feel it. The safe contained stacks of files, USB drives, and a gun she pretended not to notice. Cole withdrew a thick folder labeled simply H. Alexandra Harrison. 2 years ago, my wife didn't just disappear. He began, spreading photographs across his desk. She was investigating something. Something dangerous. Investigating? Was she police? Financial journalist. She specialized in exposing fraud, money laundering. Her last story was about restaurant chains being used to clean drug money. Ice spread through Leah's veins as connections formed. Restaurants like the one I worked at in St. Louis. Exactly. Cole's eyes held hers as he placed one final photograph on the desk. The image hit Leah like a physical blow. Alexandra Harrison, beautiful, copper-haired, smiling at a charity event. Beside her stood Marcus Blackwell, his hand possessively at her waist. "That was taken 3 weeks before she vanished," Cole said quietly. "She was getting close to something. Too close. Did she tell you what she found?" "No. We argued that morning. I told her to drop the story, that it wasn't worth the risk. His voice tightened with regret. Those were the last words I said to her. The safe room hidden behind his office bookshelf contained more than money. It held files, photographs, and evidence of a 2-year investigation that had led nowhere until she walked into his cafe. After she disappeared, I hired private investigators. Spent millions trying to find her, or at least find out what happened. He gestured to the wall of evidence. Eventually, all roads led to Marcus Blackwell and his associates. "That's why you chose me," Leo whispered, understanding dawning. "Not just for Alex. You knew I had worked for Marcus." Cole's gaze didn't waver. "I didn't know the detective would show up. But yes, when your background check showed Blackwell's restaurant, I thought you might have information. Something Alexandra might have missed. She should have felt used, manipulated. Instead, a strange relief washed over her. This made sense in a way their original arrangement hadn't. Why not just tell me from the beginning? Would you have agreed if I had? Or would you have run again?" He was right. She'd have disappeared the moment Marcus Blackwell's name was mentioned. "What exactly do you think I know? Maybe nothing. Maybe everything." Cole moved closer, intensity radiating from him. "The night you left St. Louis, the break-in at his office, what were you really running from?" The question hung between them, weighted with consequence. If she told him the truth, there was no going back. "Marcus wasn't just my boss," she admitted, voice dropping. "We were involved, until I saw what he really was." Cole's jaw tightened, but he remained silent, waiting. "The night I left, I overheard him on the phone. Someone had stolen information, account numbers, client lists. He said they needed to handle it permanently." Her hands trembled at the memory. 2 days later, I saw on the news that a woman's body had been found in the Mississippi River. "Alexandra," Cole breathed. "They never identified her on the news. But I knew he was capable of it. So I ran." The space between them charged with shared understanding. Cole reached for her hand, his fingers warm against hers. Not practiced or performative, genuine connection born of shared enemies and parallel grief. "We're going to find the truth," he promised. "Together." The moment fractured as security alarms blared through the house. Red lights flashed from panels on the wall. "Perimeter breach," Cole snapped, pulling up security camera feeds on his computer. Dark figures moved across the grounds, approaching the house from multiple directions. As security footage revealed someone had breached the estate perimeter, Cole pulled her into the panic room and sealed the door. "I didn't just hire you because of Alex," he confessed. "I chose you because I knew who you were running from, the same man who took my wife. Do you believe some people are brought together by fate or coincidence? What would you do if you discovered your past was intertwined with someone else's in ways that threatened everything? Share your thoughts." Cole's wife hadn't abandoned her family or met with foul play. She had been working undercover for the FBI when she disappeared. The panic room resembled a high-tech command center more than a refuge. Multiple monitors displayed every angle of the estate. Communications equipment lined one wall. A small refrigerator hummed in the corner beside what looked like enough supplies to last weeks. "Who are they?" Leah asked, watching black-clad figures move across the lawn. "Could be Blackwell's men. Could be someone else." Cole's fingers flew across a keyboard, triggering additional security measures. "Whoever they are, they won't get in. This house has better protection than most government buildings." On screen, the intruders retreated as floodlights and alarms activated. Within minutes, private security forces converged on the property. "You've been preparing for this," Leo realized. "For 2 years. Longer." Cole turned from the monitors, his expression grave. "There's something you need to know about Alexandra. Something I only learned after she vanished." He pressed his palm against the hidden scanner. A section of wall slid open, revealing a second room. Smaller, containing only a desk, chair, and walls covered with photographs, documents, and maps connected by red string. The panic room walls displayed case files and connection maps. 2 years of Cole's life dedicated to finding the truth, while maintaining a facade of normalcy for his son and the world. "My wife was more than a journalist," Cole said, voice tight. "She was working with the FBI. An informant? An agent. Deep cover. The revelation landed like a physical blow. She was FBI, but your marriage, Alex, were real. Pain flashed across his face. What wasn't real was her career. The journalism job gave her access to financial records, people who wouldn't talk to known federal agents. Did you know? Before she disappeared. No. The single word carried years of betrayal. I found out 3 months after she vanished. An FBI contact finally admitted they'd lost contact with her during an investigation into Blackwell's organization. Leah sank into the desk chair, mind-reeling. So she was investigating Marcus officially. That's why she couldn't finish the sentence. The FBI believes she was compromised. That Blackwell discovered her identity. Cole's knuckles whitened as he gripped the edge of the desk. What they don't know is how. Or if she's really dead, Leo whispered. No body has ever been found. And Alex? Where was he when she disappeared? Cole's expression darkened. With her. They found him alone in their hotel room, hiding in a closet. He hasn't spoken about what he saw. Hasn't spoken at all, until yesterday with you. The pieces aligned with horrible clarity. A 5-year-old boy, witnessing something no child should see. Trauma shutting down his voice. A father desperate to protect him from further harm. The FBI pulled out after 6 months, Cole continued. Classified her as likely deceased. But I kept searching. Every lead, every connection to Blackwell. Until I walked into your cafe. Until the detective showed up asking about you. That's when I knew Blackwell is still looking for something. Something Alexandra had, and something he thinks you might know about. Leah's mind raced back to St. Louis. To the night she fled. To the manila envelope she'd seen Marcus arguing about on the phone. The one that later disappeared from his office. There was a file, she said slowly. Marcus kept it locked in his desk. The night I left, it was gone. That's what the break-in was about. Cole moved closer, eyes intense. What was in it? I don't know. But whatever it was, he was willing to kill for it. The proximity between them narrowed, the small room charging with shared purpose and something deeper, more dangerous. His hand found hers, fingers interlacing. We need to find that file, he said. It might be the only thing that can bring Blackwell down. The only way either of us will ever be safe. The shared danger, the intimate space, the revelation of truths long hidden. Everything converged in that moment. When his free hand cupped her cheek, she didn't pull away. When his lips found hers, the kiss wasn't practiced or performative, but desperate, real, a confirmation of life amid conversations about death. They broke apart breathless, boundaries shattered, the pretense of their arrangement lying in ruins around them. As they emerged from the panic room at dawn, Leah's phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. I know where you are. Say hello to little Alex for me. The threat wasn't just to her anymore. It was to the child who had started to feel like her own. How far would you go to find the truth about someone you loved? Would you risk everything, even your own heart? Comment below with what you would sacrifice for answers. The security team arrived at midnight, former Special Forces operatives who didn't ask questions when Cole introduced Leah as his wife and the mother of his child. Every entry point needs coverage, Cole instructed the team leader, a stone-faced man named Garrison. Motion sensors, cameras, armed personnel. No one gets within 50 feet of this house without us knowing. What about the boy? Garrison asked, eyes flicking to where Alex slept upstairs. He doesn't leave my sight, Leah said, her voice firmer than she felt. Or his father's. Cole's hand found the small of her back, steadying her. The gesture wasn't for show anymore. Nothing between them was. The lakeside estate transformed overnight from luxury showcase to fortress, panic buttons installed in every room, bulletproof glass replacing windows, armed guards patrolling grounds where gardeners once tended roses. We can't live like prisoners forever, Leah said later, watching Alex sleep from his doorway. They'd moved his bed into their room. Not the staged master bedroom for show, but Cole's actual room where they'd spent last night holding each other after the panic room revelations. Just until I made contact with Alexandra's FBI handler, Cole replied, his voice low. If anyone knows what was in that file, it's him. And if he doesn't, Cole's expression hardened. Then we create a trap for Blackwell. Use what he wants to draw him out. Me, Leah realized. You want to use me as bait? No. His hands gripped her shoulders, fierce and protective. Never. But we can make him think we're offering what he wants. The next morning, Garrison intercepted Leah on her way to the kitchen. Mr. Harrison wants you in the East Wing gym. Said it's urgent. She found Cole in workout clothes, the space cleared except for training mats. What's this about? If we're going up against Blackwell, you need to know how to defend yourself. He tossed her a pair of athletic leggings and a tank top. Change. We start now. For the next hour, he taught her the basics, how to break a hold, where to strike to disable an attacker, how to use her smaller size as an advantage. His hands on her waist, positioning her, sent electricity through her body despite the serious circumstances. Like this, she asked, attempting to flip him as instructed. Close. He adjusted her grip, their bodies pressed together. Use my momentum against me. She tried again, managing to throw him off balance. They tumbled onto the mat, her body landing on his, faces inches apart. For a heartbeat, they froze, the training forgotten as something more urgent passed between them. His hand slid into her hair, pulling her down until their lips met in a kiss that held none of the hesitation of their previous encounters. This wasn't practice or pretense. It was hunger, acknowledgement of whatever had been building since that night in the panic room. They broke apart at the sound of the door opening. Garrison looked pointedly away. Sir, the FBI contact is on the secure line. Cole nodded, reluctantly releasing her. We'll continue this training later. The meeting in the security room was brief but illuminating. The FBI had lost track of Alexandra after her cover was blown. The file she'd been compiling contained evidence linking Blackwell to human trafficking operations across state lines. Names, dates, bank accounts. Enough to put him away forever. They think she had backup copies, Cole explained afterward. Insurance, in case something happened to her. Where would she hide something like that? Somewhere only she could access. Or his eyes drifted upstairs where Alex was drawing with his nanny, somewhere only her son would know about. That evening, Alex brought a drawing to dinner, a simple picture of trees surrounding a small structure. When Leah asked what it was, he pointed north, toward the forest that bordered their property. When Alex's drawing showed a man watching from the trees, details no child could invent. Cole made the call they'd been avoiding. We need to disappear, he told her, pulling out passports with names she didn't recognize. All three of us. Tonight. What lengths would you go to protect those you care about? Is there a line you wouldn't cross to keep someone safe? Tell me your boundaries in the comments. The cabin in northern Michigan was nothing like the mansion. No security systems, no staff, just three people pretending to be a family while actually becoming one. They drove through the night, switching vehicles twice. Alex slept in the back seat, unaware that each mile took them further from danger and deeper into uncertainty. Leah kept glancing in the side mirrors, expecting headlights in pursuit. No one followed us, Cole assured her, his hand covering hers on the center console. The team created a false trail heading west. Dawn broke as they turned onto a narrow road cutting through dense forest. No neighbors in sight, no mailboxes marking driveways, just wilderness and silence. The cabin appeared suddenly, 2 stories of weathered logs and wide windows overlooking a frozen lake. Nothing fancy, nothing that screamed Harrison money. My grandfather built this, Cole explained, carrying their minimal luggage inside. It's not in my name, not connected to any of my known properties. Inside was rustic but comfortable. Stone fireplace, worn leather furniture, kitchen with older appliances but well-stocked pantry. 2 bedrooms upstairs connected by shared bathroom. It's perfect, Leah said, meaning it. After weeks in cold marble grandeur, the cabin's warmth felt like exhaling after holding her breath too long. Alex explored with surprising enthusiasm, as if the smaller space made him feel safer. He claimed a window seat overlooking the lake, dragging his blanket and teddy bear to create a nest. Snow fell in thick curtains around the isolated cabin, nature's own security system. turning their hideaway into a snow globe where time seemed suspended in perfect, fragile moments. That first day, they established routines. Cole checked in with Garrison on a secure satellite phone. Leah explored the pantry, planning meals. Alex drew pictures of their new temporary home. By evening, exhaustion caught up with them. After tucking Alex into the smaller bedroom, Leah hesitated in the hallway, uncertain where she belonged. Cole answered the unspoken question by taking her hand, leading her to the master bedroom. "We don't have to pretend anymore," he said quietly. "Not here. Not with each other." The admission hung between them. Acknowledgement that whatever had begun as arrangement had transformed into something real. "I know." She met his gaze steadily. "I don't want to pretend." In the days that followed, they settled into a strange domestic rhythm. Cole worked remotely, contacting trusted allies, searching for information about the missing file. Leah cooked, explored the surrounding woods with Alex, built snowmen in the yard. At night, after Alex slept, they talked for hours by the fireplace. About Alexandra, about Marcus, about the lives they'd led before their paths crossed. "I never thought I'd feel this again," Cole admitted one evening, firelight casting shadows across his face. "After Alexandra disappeared, I shut everything down, focused only on Alex and finding answers. I never felt it at all," Leah confessed. "Not until what? Until Alex called me Mama." Her voice caught. "Until you looked at me like I was worth protecting." The truth hung exposed between them. Vulnerable, terrifying, exhilarating. He moved closer on the couch, hand cupping her cheek. "You are worth everything." When his lips found hers, the last barriers between them crumbled. No audience watching, no performance required. Just two people who had found each other in the most unlikely circumstances. Their bodies came together with urgency on the hearth rug. The fire's warmth, nothing compared to the heat between them. Clothes discarded, inhibitions abandoned. His hands learned every curve of her body as she explored the strength in his. When he finally joined with her, the connection felt like coming home to a place she'd never been before. Afterward, wrapped in blankets with her head on his chest, Leah allowed herself to imagine a future, one where they were simply a family, without contracts or danger shadowing their steps. "We could stay here," she whispered. "Start over somewhere new. The three of us." His arms tightened around her. "Once Blackwell is dealt with, once we're truly safe." The promise felt possible here, sheltered by snow and isolation. The knock on the door came during a blizzard when no one should have been able to find them. Cole reached for his gun while Leah grabbed Alex. But when they opened the door, it was Alexandra herself standing in the snow, very much alive and whispering, "They're coming." Have you ever found yourself in a situation where pretending became reality? Where the lines between acting and feeling authentic completely disappeared? Share your experience below. The woman Cole had mourned for 2 years stood before them. Her hair different, her eyes haunted, but undeniably Alexandra Harrison, holding evidence that could destroy the man hunting them all. Time seemed to freeze as snowflakes swirled around her slight figure. Gone was the copper hair from photographs, replaced by short dark strands. Her face was thinner, cheekbones sharp beneath pale skin. But the eyes, those were unmistakably the same ones that gazed from family portraits in the mansion. "Alexandra," Cole breathed, gun lowering slowly. "We have about 20 minutes, she said, pushing past him into the cabin. "Maybe less." Leah stood paralyzed, Alex clinging to her leg. The woman she'd been pretending to be, the ghost whose absence shaped their entire relationship, now flesh and blood, brushing snow from her jacket. "You're alive," Cole said, following her inside, expression cycling through shock, relief, anger. 2 years, Alexandra. 2 years we thought you were dead." "I was dead," she replied, pulling a hard drive from inside her coat. "Had to be. For this. For both of you." Her eyes landed on Leah, then dropped to Alex. Recognition flickered, followed by pain, so raw it hurt to witness. "Alex," she whispered, taking a step toward him. The boy pressed closer to Leah's side, half hiding behind her. Alexandra froze, the rejection visible in her flinch. "He doesn't," Leah began. "I know." Alexandra cut her off. "I'm a stranger to him now. That's the price I paid." Cole recovered enough to take control of the situation. "Why are you here? How did you find us?" "Same way they will." She nodded toward the window where snow continued falling. "I've been tracking Blackwell's operation for 2 years, gathering evidence, building a case the FBI couldn't ignore. When I heard they were closing in on you, I had to warn you. Closing in how? Your security team has a leak." Someone recognized Leah from St. Louis. She turned to Leah. "Marcus never stopped looking for you. Or for this." She held up the hard drive, the backup copy of everything I collected. The 3 adults formed a triangle in the cabin's main room, each corner charged with different currents of emotion: reunion, betrayal, jealousy, relief. While outside, the blizzard raged with equal intensity. "Why not come home?" Cole demanded, voice cracking. "Why let us believe you were dead? Do you know what that did to Alex? To me? If Blackwell knew I was alive, he would have used you both as leverage." Alexandra's composure slipped, revealing the cost of her choices. "I couldn't risk him hurting you to get to me. So instead you abandoned us." The accusation hung heavy between them. "I protected you the only way I could." Leah stepped forward, still holding Alex's hand. "We need to focus on right now. If they're coming, we need a plan." Alexandra's eyes assessed her with newfound respect. "You're right." She spread a map on the kitchen table. "There's an FBI safe house 3 hours south. I have a contact waiting there." As they formulated an escape route, Alex tugged free from Leah's grip, approaching Alexandra cautiously. The room went still as he studied her face, recognition and confusion battling in his expression. Alexandra knelt, keeping distance between them. "Hello, Alex." Something shifted in the boy's eyes, memory perhaps, or instinct. His small hand reached out, touching her cheek with a gentleness that brought tears to her eyes. Then he turned back to Leah, his decision clear as he returned to her side. When Alex finally spoke to his mother, his words shattered any hope of simple resolution. "Leah is my mom now." As Alexandra's face crumpled, headlights cut through the snow outside. Not the FBI backup they expected, but black SUVs carrying men with weapons. "They're here," Alexandra hissed, shoving the hard drive into Cole's hands. "Back door. Now." The reality of their situation crystallized in that moment. Cole caught between past and present. Leah suddenly uncertain of her place, and Alexandra willing to sacrifice everything again to protect what she'd left behind. As they rushed toward the cabin's rear exit, Cole grabbed Leah's arm, eyes intense. "Whatever happens, you're his mother now. You're my..." The declaration was cut short by the sound of breaking glass in the front room. "I love you," Leah whispered, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. His response was lost as gunfire erupted, forcing them into the blinding snowstorm. What would you do if someone you thought was gone forever suddenly returned? How do you navigate between past commitments and new feelings? I want to hear your thoughts. 4 walls, 3 adults, 1 child, and 6 armed men surrounding them. The odds weren't just against them. They were impossible. "Stay low," Cole commanded, ushering them through knee-deep snow toward the tool shed behind the cabin. Inside, he yanked up a trapdoor hidden beneath old canvas tarps. "Root cellar. Get in." Alexandra pushed Alex into Leah's arms. "Take him. I'll create a diversion." "No." Cole grabbed her arm. "We stay together." For a heartbeat, his former wife and current one locked eyes over Alex's head. Rivals under any other circumstances, now united by something stronger than jealousy. "There's no time to argue," Alexandra said. "That hard drive has everything: bank accounts, names, locations. It's enough to destroy Blackwell's entire operation." Gunfire shattered the cabin windows, sending glass diamonds scattering across the wooden floor while snow and wind howled through the broken panes, nature and violence converging in chaotic symphony. Leah clutched Alex against her chest, his face buried in her neck. "How did they find us?" "GPS tracker," Alexandra replied grimly. "Probably in your vehicle. Maybe your phone." They've been waiting for you to lead them somewhere isolated. The implication wasn't lost on Cole. His decision to flee had played directly into their hands. Down, he ordered, pushing Leah and Alex toward the cellar entrance. There's a tunnel that leads to the lake. Half a mile along the shore is an old boathouse. Wait there. You're not coming? Leah's voice caught, panic rising. Right behind you. Need to cover your escape. Lies. They both knew it. He was staying to fight. Cole. He silenced her with a kiss, fierce and desperate. Get our son to safety. I'm counting on you. Our son. The words cemented what her heart already knew. Alexandra checked her weapon, a compact pistol pulled from her boot. I count 6 men. Automatic weapons. We're outgunned. We don't need to win, Cole replied. Just need to buy them time. He nodded toward the cellar where Leah was descending with Alex. Alexandra's expression softened momentarily. She loves you. And Alex. I know. Good. She squared her shoulders. Because I'm about to make sure you all get to keep that love. Before Cole could respond, Alexandra burst from the shed, firing toward the approaching men. Her sudden appearance drew their attention, exactly as planned. Cole used the distraction to retrieve his own weapon from beneath the workbench. As he prepared to join the firefight, Leah called up from below. Cole, wait. He turned to find her halfway up the ladder, Alex safely below. Tears streaked her face, but determination set her jaw. Whatever happens, she said, find us. Promise me. I promise. The intensity between them transcended words. In another life, they would have had years to explore this connection. Now, they might have only minutes. I love you, he said. Both of you. Remember that. Outside, Alexandra's diversionary tactics were working. She'd drawn the attackers toward the far side of the property, away from the escape route. Cole joined the fight, providing covering fire as Leah and Alex fled through the underground passage. The familiar weight of his weapon grounded him, combat instincts taking over. For Alex, for Leah, he would become whatever was necessary. When a bullet grazed his shoulder, the pain barely registered. When he glimpsed Alexandra pinned down behind a fallen tree, determination replaced fear. They were outmanned, outgunned, but fighting for something the attackers weren't: family. Alexandra slipped the hard drive into Leah's pocket with bloody fingers. Get my son out. Make Cole happy. You're his family now. Before either could stop her, she ran into the storm of bullets, creating the diversion that would either save them all or leave Alex an orphan twice over. Her sacrifice created the opening they needed, as Cole grabbed Leah and Alex, pulling them toward the frozen lake and their one chance at escape. Alexandra's final act of motherhood echoed in the gunfire behind them. What gives people courage in impossible situations? Is it love, duty, or something else entirely? Tell me about a time when you found strength you didn't know you had. The FBI safe house in downtown Chicago felt like another planet after 3 days on the run. But the evidence Alexandra died delivering would bring down an empire built on human trafficking, money laundering, and murder. Rain pelted the bulletproof windows, washing away the last traces of northern Michigan snow from their memories. Inside, federal agents moved with efficient purpose, cataloging evidence, taking statements, bringing coffee in paper cups that Leah held just to warm her hands. Alex slept on a narrow cot in the corner, exhaustion finally claiming him after their harrowing journey. Snowmobile across the frozen lake, hiking through forest to a rural gas station. Anonymous call to Alexandra's FBI contact. 3 days without knowing if Cole had survived. 3 days of Alex asking questions with his eyes that she couldn't answer. Mrs. Harrison? Leah looked up at the agent in the doorway, a tall woman with a severe bun and eyes that had seen too much. She'd been interviewing Cole separately for hours. He's asking for you. Her heart stuttered. Is he? He'll recover. Shoulder wound, blood loss, exposure. No sin permanent. The federal building's sterile interview room couldn't have been more different from their lake house or cabin. Steel and fluorescent lights replacing warm wood and crystal. Yet somehow, sitting together, they still felt like home. Cole sat at a metal table, arm in a sling, face drawn with exhaustion but eyes lighting when she entered. He stood despite his injury, crossing the room in 3 strides to pull her against his chest with his good arm. "Alex," he murmured into her hair. "Sleeping. Safe." She pressed closer, inhaling his scent beneath hospital antiseptic. "Alexandra." His body tensed. She didn't make it. The confirmation of what they'd suspected hit harder than expected. Alexandra, a woman Leah had never truly met, but whose life had become intertwined with hers in ways neither could have imagined. "She saved us," Leah whispered. "All of us. The hard drive she gave you, it contained everything. Bank records, client lists, video evidence." Cole pulled back enough to meet her eyes. "They've already arrested Blackwell. It's over, Leah." Relief crashed through her so powerfully her knees nearly buckled. "Over. Almost." He guided her to a chair. "There are complications." "What kind?" "Witness protection. For testimony against Blackwell's associates. For Alex's safety." His fingers laced with hers. "We'll need new identities. A new location." "We?" The question contained all her uncertainty about her place, her role, their future. His answer was to pull her into a kiss that erased every doubt. When they broke apart, breathless and clinging to each other, the last pretense between them had vanished. "There's no arrangement anymore," he said. "No contract, just us choosing each other, if that's what you want." "It is," she whispered. "It's all I want." When the federal agent returned, she found them still holding each other. The wounded businessman and the waitress, an unlikely pair bonded through circumstances no one could have predicted. "We've prepared your options," the agent said, spreading paperwork across the table. "Standard witness protection protocols. New identities, relocation, ongoing security." As they signed witness protection papers, the federal agent slid 3 new identities across the table, but only 2 shared the same last name. "You'll need to decide," she said, looking between them. "Are you a family? Or was it just an arrangement?" The question hung between them, heavier than any they'd faced before. Cole answered by sliding the 3rd option back. "My son and I stay together, and Leah stays with us. As my wife, my real wife. That requires legal documentation, a real marriage. Then we'll make it real." His eyes never left Leah's face. "Right now. Today. Is that what you want, Ms. Davis?" the agent asked. The question seemed absurd after everything they'd survived. A choice that was no choice at all. "Yes," Leah said simply. "That's exactly what I want." Later, in a bland government office with Alex as their witness, they exchanged vows that needed no elaborate promises. They'd already proven their commitment through fire and ice, through danger and sacrifice. When the judge pronounced them husband and wife, Cole whispered against her lips, "No more pretending." "No more pretending," she agreed, sealing the promise with a kiss as Alex wrapped his arms around both their legs, completing the circle of their family. Different than they'd planned, stronger than they'd imagined. How do we honor sacrifices made for us? When someone gives everything so you can have a future, how do you live without guilt? Share your perspective below. 1 year after walking into her cafe with an impossible proposition, he stood before her with a different offer altogether. This time with no contracts, no pretending, and a child who called them both home. California sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and pink as waves crashed against the cliffs below their deck. New names, new town, new beginning. But the same hearts beating in rhythm across the distance they traveled. "Dinner's ready," Leah called, setting the final plate on the outdoor table. Alex, now 6 and talking in full, excited sentences, raced from the beach steps, sand clinging to his legs. "Dad's bringing the shells we found." Cole followed more slowly, a collection of treasures cradled in his palm. The year had changed him too. The tension that once lived in his shoulders had eased, replaced by the relaxed confidence of a man who no longer carried the weight of unanswered questions. Their beachfront home sat perched on cliffs above the Pacific, open and light-filled, with windows that didn't need bulletproof glass, in a town where no one knew their history or questioned their right to happiness. "Find anything good?" Leah asked, accepting Cole's kiss as he reached the deck. "Mom, look." Alex thrust a perfect sand dollar toward her. "Dad says it's super rare to find one whole." "Mom." The word still warmed her from within every time he said it. Not a replacement for the mother who'd sacrificed everything. They kept Alexandra's memory alive with stories and a small memorial garden, but a different kind of mother. The one who'd chosen him, and whom he'd chosen in return. After dinner, with Alex tucked into bed, they stood together on the deck watching moonlight shimmer across dark water. "Happy anniversary," Cole murmured, arms encircling her waist from behind. Their real anniversary. 1 year since the day they'd made their arrangement genuine in that government office. "I have something for you." He pressed a small velvet box in her palm. "We agreed no gifts." Not a gift, a question. Inside lay a ring, nothing like the practical diamond she'd worn during their pretend marriage. This one featured a unique central stone surrounded by smaller gems that caught the moonlight. "Our witness protection wedding was necessary," Cole said, turning her to face him. "But it wasn't what you deserved. So I'm asking you again, this time with no contracts, no danger, no pretending." He took the ring, holding it between them. "Marry me, Leah, for real, in front of friends we've made, in a ceremony that celebrates what we found instead of what we were running from." Tears blurred her vision as she nodded. "Yes, always yes." He slipped the ring on her finger beside the simple band she already wore. "The center stone is from Michigan, from the land where our cabin stood. The smaller ones represent our journey, where we've been, where we're going." "It's perfect," she whispered, rising on tiptoes to kiss him. Their embrace deepened, familiar yet never routine. His hands traced patterns along her back as hers wound into his hair. When they broke apart, breathless, the decision to move inside was mutual and wordless. In their bedroom, moonlight painted silver stripes across tangled sheets as clothing fell away. Each touch held reverence grown from knowing exactly how easily they might never have found each other. His lips traced the curve of her shoulder, the hollow of her throat, while her fingers mapped the scar on his shoulder, badge of his fight to protect their family. Later, wrapped in each other's arms, Leah thought about the woman who'd walked into that cafe a lifetime ago, counting quarters for dinner, running from shadows, never imagining the journey ahead. "What are you thinking about?" Cole asked, fingers tracing lazy circles on her skin. "How sometimes the most impossible offers turn out to be exactly what you need." He smiled against her hair. "Best arrangement I ever made." "Not an arrangement anymore," she reminded him, pressing closer. "Just us. Just real." The promise carried them into sleep, into dreams no longer haunted by the past, only illuminated by the future they'd fought to secure. Sometimes families are born, sometimes they're made, and sometimes they're found in the most unexpected circumstances. How would you define what makes a real family? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this journey from arrangement to real love touched something in you, hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone who understands that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about who stays when the world falls apart. Leave a comment about what part of their story resonated with you most. And remember, sometimes the bravest thing we can do is let ourselves be happy after surviving the storm.